The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Now at episode 158, and I guess I'm doing great. We are now into the month of November TV for 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. I am your host, Ray Russell, and this week, guys, we dive into the first week of November 1988, and we're going to kick it all off here in just a moment. But before we do, a reminder, in just a few weeks' time here on the Grenade, we're going to be covering Survivor Series, the second annual from the Richfield Coliseum, and around that time, we're going to be dropping the Survivor Series video cast. Now, we're also going to be doing a podcast discussing the event, but if you want to go and listen to it at length, from bell to bell, beginning to end, little watch along, you guys can listen along and watch us discuss. Gene Jackson already offered to fill that void as the guest co-host there on patreon.com/WrestleCopia, part of the VIP Superfan tier. Are these big events that coincide with the Grenade podcast. We're going to be doing it there in long form. We're also going to be having an episode upcoming here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. Going to try to talk my brother into coming back. We did Survivor Series 87 together. He had such a great time there. He stopped by for a few matches at WrestleMania 4, and hopefully we can have him back here for Series 88. No promises. We haven't talked about it yet, but he seemed very interested. We had a lot of fun with that one growing up. But for right now, guys, we're jumping back in to things right here on the Grenade, going back right now to the Superstars of Wrestling, November 5th, 1988. All right, away we go. Superstars, November 5th, taped all the way back October 5th, Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. It is Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura on commentary. Jesse rocking some very large golden gloves there, kind of building up the upcoming Monday night pay-per-view between Sugar Ray Leonard and Donnie Lalonde. We're going to hear a lot of that this weekend here on the commentary between Vince and Jesse, and then later Gorilla and Bobby as well. But right now we head off to the ring for the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior, taking on George South. And right off the bat, we get an insert promo here from the former IC champ, the Honky Tonk Man, manager Jimmy Hart. Honky now vowing to become the IC champ once again before the Survivor Series. Very smart there. Hard selling those November house shows. Honky knows his days working the Warrior are coming to a close. His days headlining those B shows may be coming to an end. The money may, well, not run dry, but may not be as lucrative as it is right now. And Honky Tonk Man in this promo, hard selling. I'm going to get this belt back before the pay-per-view. So obviously for the next several weeks on the house shows, everybody may have their radar out. Maybe looking for a title change there. Who's to say? But right now, George South going to try to jump the Warrior before the bell, but that doesn't go over too well with the Intercontinental Champion. Warrior Man going to chase George South around ringside, back in the ring, finally catching up and dominating. George South dominating the matchup. Nasty chop sends South down to the mat. Double arm elevated choke by the Warrior. Oh yeah, he pissed him off. All right. And then from there, UW with a nice power slam as the crowd just eating up everything the Warrior does here, as the IC champ sending South out to the floor with a big back elbow to the mouth. And then, kind of you, Warrior going to slam George South back in over the top rope and back into the ring from the apron. But it doesn't end there. Warrior setting up for a big wild swing. Gonna do the old wind up Popeye style, looking for a clothesline. George South sees it coming and actually dodges it. Turns around, runs towards the ropes and covers his head. Duck for cover. You can't say George South isn't a smart guy. Unfortunately, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. South finally running into that big clothesline, followed by the Gorilla Press drop and the Big Splash. Going to give the Warrior the win, 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Heading into the Survivor Series, Warrior picking up more momentum each and every week here as the Intercontinental Champion. Then from there, we go off back to the fans, the featured fan segment this week on Superstars coming in early. Mean Gene Okerlund sitting out there with the fans. Little Warrior man here, painted up like the Ultimate One is this little fellow. And this young fan's favorite wrestlers, the Blue Blazer, how about that? Makes sense. Hulk Hogan, and of course the Ultimate Warrior has the face paint on. Mean Gene, on the other hand, seems to be a fan of this little boy's mother, Tammy. Go figure. And right now, guys, we head off to the Brother Love show for this week. His guests are the entire team, heel team, main eventing the Survivor Series. But it's going to start off with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and his bodyguard, Virgil.
Ted DiBiase.
Brother Virgil, a man who has been wrong, a man who has love in his heart and has shown it time and time again. But Brother Ted, you have been wrong because you had a man, you purchased a man who knew no gratitude, a man who did not want the privilege to stand behind in servitude for the $1 Million Man.
That's right, Brother Love. And since the very first day I set foot in a World Wrestling Federation, I have always been able to get what I want. I always get what I want, especially Hercules, when it's already been bought and paid for. And you, Hercules, have been bought, paid for, signed, sealed, and delivered to the $1 Million Man. And before it's all over, you're going to understand that you are my slave.
I can't believe that.
You, Macho Man, Randy Savage, just who do you think you are coming out here and giving your hand to Hercules like it's some almighty sign of approval? Who cares?
Well, you know, Brother Ted, Hercules has jumped on the bandwagon of the Mega Powers for the Survivor Series. Well, he has joined the likes of Koko B, Ware, Hillbilly Jim, and Hercules is right there with the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan. But you know, Brother Ted, you leave no stone unturned now, do you? You are always prepared.
Let me tell you something, Hercules. I don't care who or what you surround yourself with. A bird brain, a hillbilly, and an obnoxious Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage. I don't care. Let me tell you what the $1 Million Man has surrounded himself with for the Survivor Series.
Yes! Take a look right here at what will surround the $1 Million Man come Thanksgiving night.
Here they come.
The Survivor Series.
I think the $1 Million Man can feel fairly safe, we might say.
457 pounds of Brother Akeem.
Akeem. Randy Savage will take care of him. Koko will take care of Rooster.
King Haku.
Hillbilly will take care of the king.
You dreaming?
Who taught Hulk Hogan a lesson of love and taught him all about control, the big boss man.
Who's going to control him?
I don't know.
Up here and be surrounded by love, just like the Mega Powers will be surrounded by this love come Thanksgiving night in Survivor Series. It's a lot of love.
All right, so there we heard DiBiase with his weekly warning to the mighty Hercules, who will be his slave before it's all said and done. No matter how many partners Hercules hides behind, DiBiase says he will find him. And then out comes the entire main event heel team at the Survivor Series, the Big Boss Man, Akeem, King Haku, the Red Rooster, of course, Ted DiBiase out there as well, and the managers, Bobby Heenan and Slick, going to join there, as we are less than 3 weeks out now from the pay-per-view, and we get to see the visual of the entire heel team on the stage. Mega Powers, beware, as it's back to the ring for the Canadian strongman, Dino Bravo, with manager Frenchie Martin by his side. Dino's opponent this week, Jim Evans, as Frenchie waves that fleur-de-lis on the floor, the Quebec flag. We get an insert promo from good old Hacksaw Jim Duggan himself. Jim continues that feud with Dino Bravo, USA versus Canada, or specifically Quebec, for whatever reason. Jim Duggan representing the good old US of A in this one, as he says it's all about pride. Tough guy. Meanwhile, on commentary, the Body, Jesse Ventura, thinks maybe I'll think twice about voting if Jim Duggan is what's representing the USA right now. Meanwhile, in the ring, let's not forget Dino Bravo in action, firm control from beginning to end, celebrating quite often in between, really upsetting the fans. Nice Dino elbow drop, double underhook suplex from Bravo here. Don't see that too often. Nasty folding back suplex and a little airplane spin. Well, you haven't seen those in about a decade. And the side suplex, going to get the win here, 1 minute and 40 seconds. The Canadian strongman coming for Hacksaw Jim Duggan, or is it the other way around? Right now, guys, we go off to Sean Mooney in the Event Center, standing by talking Survivor Series, as we hear from the team of the Honky Tonk Man and the Outlaw Ron Bass.
It will happen Thanksgiving night, the second annual Survivor Series. Hello, everyone. I'm Sean Mooney back at the Event Center. 50 superstars are going to be involved in one matchup. The Ultimate Warrior, he will co-captain a team along with Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Across the ring, co-captains the Honky Tonk Man and the Outlaw Ron Bass. Right now, they're standing by with the rest of their team of 5.
Survivor Series, the biggest night of the WWF. You know, you look around the team right here, and you're looking at an awesome force, brother. We've got all the power. We got all the grace. We got the viciousness. We got anything that we need. If you just look, there's not a weak member on the team. If we had a weak link, we'd just beat him right out of the ring right now, and we wouldn't even go out there. And you just look around on the other side. The Warrior, Beefcake, Blazer, Brunzell, and Dancing Sam Houston. Let me tell you something, brother. It's going to be a bad, bad night for you.
You know, we got some of the greatest wrestlers in WWF. We're going to take them on, and we're just going to mow them down. Tell them, great.
You know, Danny Davis, you're a survivor. Ron Bass, Cowboy Ron Bass is a survivor. The Honky Tonk Man is a survivor. And, of course, Bad News Brown is a survivor. We're all survivors. And Thanksgiving night, I'm going to break somebody's leg. I promise you that. Drumstick, baby.
I'm not used to being in a crowd. But it don't matter. It don't matter because I'm going to run whoever gets in front of me over like a Mack truck.
And he'll do it. When he says he's going to do something, Bad News Brown does it. And Thanksgiving night, Richfield Coliseum, the Honky Tonk Man, Ron Bass, Danny Davis, Bad News Brown, and Greg the Hammer. We're going to do exactly what we have to do to survive. We're going to take you, Warrior, you Beefcake, you Blazer, you Brunzell, and you Houston, and we're going to beat the living daylights out of you any way we have to do it. Because this is the biggest night of our career.
All right, there it was Team Honky in all their glory. Honky Tonk Man, Outlaw Ron Bass, the co-captains, along with Dangerous Danny Davis, Greg the Hammer Valentine, manager Jimmy Hart, and even Bad News Brown included in the promo. Very unique to see Bad News as part of the team and cutting a promo here. And as Honky says, anything that Bad News Brown says he's going to do, it's going to be done. And so we're going to have to see how that plays out. Very interesting, unique team. Bad News Brown going to join forces with a whole lot of men. And as we know, Brown a loner. So we're going to have to wait and see how that plays out at the pay-per-view. But right now, we head back to the ring. The long-awaited debut. Here it is, guys, of Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig. Mr. Perfect in the ring taking on Chris Zarna. As Vince says, we're finally going to find out just how perfect this guy is, pal. And yes, indeed, we are, Vince. And still with his full name attached to the gimmick, Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, as he is announced here, and also in his pre-WWF trunks, rocking his old AWA gear, still at this point. Hennig in control, very handily, hurdling leapfrog, leading to a nice running drop kick, and a nasty punt kick into the ribs of Zarna, as Mr. Perfect just shows complete dominance here. Some serious ruthless aggression, pal. Hennig really laying it in thick devouring Zarna like a lion, you might say, even landing the old axe clothesline right across the face of Zarna before he sets up for the not yet named perfect plex, fisherman suplex, cradle suplex, call it what you want, a beautiful bridge, unlike Harley Race. Sorry, Harley. But Curt Hennig going to score the win with the soon-to-be renamed perfect plex. Match goes only 1 minute and 53 seconds, but he has arrived here on syndicated TV in the ring, which means he now exists in the world of the WWF. Then from there, as promised last week on the TV program, shown in its entirety, we get the entire Saturday night's main event replay of the matchup between Jake the Snake Roberts and Ravishing Rick Rude. The feud comes to a close, Cheryl Roberts getting involved, being sent backstage mid-match, but eventually the Snake Man landing the DDT, looking to get the win, when Andre the Giant comes ringside, and of course the match gets thrown out at that point, but Andre passes out of fear, it would seem, a phobia, to one Damien the Snake. Apparently Andre the Giant has a fear of snakes, and it comes to be seen right here on syndicated television Superstars. It happened on NBC. The masses came out that night to watch it, Saturday night's main event, and in case you didn't see it then, you're seeing it now in its entirety right here on Superstars. Big angle as they close up the Jake Rude feud and move into the Snake Man versus Andre the Giant. Very big deal for Jake as we move forward into the end of 1988. That's going to travel into 1989, the feud between those two. And it starts right here, guys. Given plenty of time to shine here on WWF TV as we continue on. You want to talk about feuds? This one's been going on for a few months now. And that's the feud between Brutus the Barber Beefcake and the Outlaw Ron Bass. We see Bass in the ring here getting ready to take on Billy Bowman as we get an insert promo from the Barber, who's still gunning for the Outlaw, because it's going to be Miss Betsy and those Maverick brothers, those Spurs of Ron Bass, versus Brute Eyes Clippers, the old Hedge Clippers guys. And the Beefer says that's all the protection he'll ever need. I don't doubt that. Meanwhile, in the ring, Bowman going to surprise Bass with an arm drag to start out the match, but the Outlaw quickly takes over with a nasty clothesline, and eventually it's that Texas pedigree, dropping Bowman face first down on the mat, going to give the Outlaw the win in just 1 minute and 48 seconds. And then post-match, Bowman going to meet Miss Betsy up close and personal. The Outlaw wrapping it around Bowman's throat, dragging him around the ring, having a little fun there, cowboy style, or outlaw style, as the feud continues on. Beefcake and Bass on opposing teams at the Survivor Series. Can't wait to see what happens when those two get in the ring with one another. But for right now, we're off to the event center. And Sean Mooney again promoting Survivor Series. Earlier on the program, on the Brother Love Show, we heard from the team of Big Boss Man, Ted DiBiase and crew. This time, Sean Mooney going to throw it to an interview with Team Mega Powers.
So many spectacular matchups. This one especially. Akeem, he will co-captain the team along with a Big Boss Man, and he just may be the turkey in this one across the ring. Co-captains the Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
Yo, this Survivor team right here has been around the WWF for quite some while, man. And to hang out in the WWF, you gotta fight on your own. You gotta rip, you gotta tear at every match just to survive. But now that the Mega Power team has been united, man, now that we're all Hulkamaniacs, we'll be fighting together, back against back, toe against toe. I got my sights set on the Big Boss Man. The Macho Man knows exactly what he's gonna do. Hercules reached to the heavens, united us all as Hulkamaniacs. But Koko B. Ware has added a new dimension. He showed us what it's all about to have an aerial assault.
And you know one thing, Hulk? I'm going after that little red rooster, and I'm gonna pluck his fella in there right, Macho Man.
I got a telephone call from Hillbilly Jim.
Yes.
He says what Hulk Hogan is saying right now is gospel, yeah. But the thing that freaked me out is what happened in Venice Beach with this man right here, Hercules, yeah.
You know, if the Boss Man, if Akeem, if that rooster and Haku, and that Ted DiBiase knew what I knew, and if they felt what I felt that day we were standing out in that mighty Pacific Ocean,
Come on, Herc.
up on our tiptoes, joined hands, united. Yes, united. Ha, ha, ha.
The power of Hercules screamed to the heavens when we got hit with a thunderbolt. When we were all Hulkamaniacs, I knew they were going down. They're ours, man.
Got him, baby, yeah.
Well, no Hillbilly Jim in this particular interview segment for whatever reason, but Macho Man says that he phoned in. He phoned it in. Get it, guys? So Hillbilly Jim not here for the promo, but they do mention him here as the fifth man in this quintet of Team Mega Powers. High fives all around. Quite the odd quintet indeed, to say the least. Koko B, Ware, and Hillbilly Jim. Mighty Hercules just turned babyface, getting that rub from Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man there. But it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out when we get to the pay-per-view. Quite an odd team indeed on paper. And honestly, just looking at it on the screen as well. As we continue on back to the ring for the big Boss Man with the manager Slick by his side. Boss Man's opponent this week, Rusty Riddle. We even get an insert promo here from Boss Man and Slick as the Boss Man says he's going to put the Hulkster in solitary confinement very soon. Total beatdown, total mauling as you might expect. Quick matchup this week for the Boss Man who lands that patented Boss Man slam. The old Bubba Spike sends Riddle into the mat. Gets the 1-2-3. Match goes 1 minute, 37 seconds. And then post-match, a little handcuffing and beatdown by the Boss Man on poor Rusty Riddle. As the fans chanting for Hogan. They want Hogan. But clearly the Hulkster wants no part of the former prison guard. Brother. Wise move. Dude. The Hulkster biding his time as only he can do. Waiting for that exact moment, that exact opportunity. The opportunist, Hulk Hogan, waiting to get his revenge on the big Boss Man, who is ready for him, calling him out here. It's going to be exciting as that continues to play out. But right now we go off to update with Mean Gene Okerlund. I guess you could call this a Survivor Series report.
Earlier this hour, you saw Akeem and the Big Boss Man, along with team members, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, King Haku, and the Red Rooster. They're going to be facing, in this tremendous series where teams of 5 strive to survive, they're going to be facing Captains Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, and Hercules, Koko B, Ware, and Hillbilly Jim. But there is more in the Survivor Series. Another event in the month of November you can see on a pay-per-view basis. The Ultimate Warrior and Brutus the Barber Beefcake team up with Don Morocco, the Blue Blazer, and Sam Houston. They're going to be facing the fivesome comprised of the Honky Tonk Man Outlaw Ron Bass, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bad News Brown, and Dangerous Daddy Davis. There is more. Oh, what a tremendous grouping here. Jake the Snake Roberts and Hacksaw Jim Duggan leading Tito Santana, Junkyard Dog, and Ken Patera against this group. Andre the Giant, Dino Bravo, Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig, and Harley Race. Remember, once a man is eliminated, it is back to the locker room for him. He has to leave the ringside area. And what about the tag team portion of the Survivor Series? First off, let's hear from the current tag team champions of the world. They are the Demolition and their team members. Here they are.
When you get Master Fuji's mind and Jimmy Hart's mind together, what you got is a major disaster area. Because you got the Brain Busters, the Conquistadors, the Ragus, the Bolsheviks, and you got the Demolition. So we're going to be out there to kick some butts.
I want everybody on the opposing team. Powers of Pain, Hearts, Rockers, Bulldogs, and Stallions. Take your pick. Right there. Take the demonstration right here. Anybody you pick on is going to jump down your throat. Ooh. Thanksgiving night is going to be a total disaster for everybody on the opposite team.
All right, well, there you hear it. Mean Gene breaking down the matches at the Survivor Series. Kind of confusing because we've already heard some of the names change in some of these matches and other segments and other television programs. But here, for all intents and purposes, Don Morocco still announced as part of Team Warrior and Beefcake. Junkyard Dog also still announced as part of Team Jake and Hacksaw. So what a Mid-South unit that would have been. We even get to hear from tag team champions Demolition, who were riding 10 deep, maybe more than managers there too. In fact, so many people in the interview segment that they couldn't all fit on camera, but it was the demos doing the talking. They are the champions. They are the captains of the team, in fact, and that's going to be a fun match, no doubt, when we get to the pay-per-view. Well, I'm not trying to get redundant on you guys as we head back to the event center. This time, Sean Mooney going to run down the Survivor Series matches, but things are about to change.
Welcome back to the event center. It is time now to get the entire rundown on the Survivor Series. It happens Thanksgiving night from the Richfield Coliseum. Let's talk about the rules. Teams of 5 on each side of the ring. One man from each team in the ring at a time. As a man is eliminated through either a disqualification, a countout, or of course a pin, that man must leave the ringside area. When there is no one left on one side, the other team will be declared the survivors. And let's talk about the teams right now. The Honky Tonk Man, he will co-captain the team along with the Outlaw Ron Bass. Rounding out their team of 5, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bad News Brown, and Dangerous Danny Davis. Across the ring, the co-captains, the Oakwood Warrior, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, the Blue Blazer, and Sam Houston. That is going to be a spectacular matchup, but there is more. Andre the Giant, he will co-captain the team along with Canadian strongman Dino Bravo. Rounding out their team of 5, Ravishing Rick Rude, Mr. Perfect, and Harley Race. On the other side, the team of 5, co-captained by Jake the Snake Roberts and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Tito Santana on that team, along with B. Brian Blair and Ken Patera. But there is going to be a spectacular encounter. Akeem to co-captain a team along with the Big Boss Man. Rounding out their team of 5, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, King Haku, and the Red Rooster. On the other side, you know what has taken place between Hulk Hogan and the Big Boss Man. Hulk Hogan to co-captain a team with the Macho Man, Randy Savage. The Mighty Hercules on that team, along with the Birdman, Koko B, Ware, and Hillbilly Jim. Also that same evening, a Survivor Series tag team elimination match. The only difference in the rules is when a man is eliminated, his tag team partner must leave the ringside area as well. On this team, captains Demolition Axe and Smash, the fabulous Rougeau brothers, the Bolsheviks, the Conquistadors, and the Brainbusters, Axe and Smash, the captains. On the other side, the Powers of Pain. They are the captains. The Hart Foundation joined them, the British Bulldogs, the Rockers, and the Young Stallions.
So just one segment after Mean Gene breaks down the Survivor Series matches, it's Sean Mooney's turn here on the Event Center. And now magically, Don Morocco and Junkyard Dog appear to be out of the event, already being replaced by the former Killer Bees. Now, Jim Brunzell going to be on Team Warrior, and B. Brian Blair now part of Team Snake Man. So just a few weeks out, and they're still shifting around some of the talent there in some of the matches. As we conclude this week's Superstars, we learn that next week on the program, Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard, the Brainbusters, going to be here along with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Birdman, Koko B. Ware, the Mighty Hercules going to be back, as well as Akeem, and special guest on the Brother Love Show, Jake the Snake Roberts. Can't wait for that. And feature match next week, guys. Going to see the Rockers, tag team specialists, taking on the fabulous Rougeau brothers, as we hear from both sides.
See the Rockers squaring off against the fabulous Rougeau brothers. Here now comments from both tag teams.
Shut up, Raymond. Next week, we're going to meet those cute rock and rollers, the Rockers. 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock rock. Rockers, next week, you're going to become the next victims of the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And you're going to be singing a new tune. Another one bites the dust. I love it.
You know, the fabulous Rougeau brothers, they can't wrestle and they can't sing either. One thing they do real well is flap their yaps, though, huh?
That's right. Right here next week, the Rockers are going to take the Rougeau brothers and make you boys dance to a different tune.
Yeah.
Woo! And so next week, the Rockers will square off against the fabulous Rougeaus right here on the Superstars of Wrestling.
Another one bites the dust is what the Rougeaus are going to be singing next week, or so they say. Meanwhile, the Rockers looking to make a name for themselves right here on the program next week. Woo! The Rockers and the Rougeaus. Well, that seems random, but you got to remember, guys, it is indeed November's sweeps has begun, so we're starting to see those competitive matches appear here on Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. And also, I should mention, lots of random discussion and hard selling for the upcoming Sugar Ray Lalonde fight, which will indeed take place this coming Monday night, November the 7th. So this is the final weekend we have to hear about this boxing event. Thank God. As they continue to hard sell Survivor Series, we may be sick of that by the time we get to the pay-per-view as well. But for right now, still fresh, still new, still fun, as we head off to this quick WrestleCopia timeout.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to uswapodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Pro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puroresu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, Patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of the Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, where we go, what do we do? Be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Grenade. Heading on to Wrestling Challenge, November 6th, 1988. All right, Wrestling Challenge for November 6th. Tape back October 6th, Toledo, Ohio at the Sports Arena. Bobby Heenan and, of course, Gorilla Monsoon on commentary for this one. We head off to the ring for singles action. Brutus the Barber Beefcake going one-on-one with Craig Brown. A lot of the Barber basics here. We do see the high knee and, of course, the finisher, the sleeper hold coming into play, putting Craig down and out. Going to give Beefer the win in just 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And wouldn't you know it, a little hair trimming going to follow, and based on the length of Brown's hair, very impressive. I have to imagine he was not chosen at random. Beefcake having some fun there, cutting the long hair, the long locks of one Craig Brown, as we go off to a special report with Lord Alfred Hayes. He takes us all the way back to Saturday night's main event once again. shown in its entirety. Rick Rude versus Jake Roberts, and of course the Andre heart attack, well, we can't call it a heart attack, I guess panic attack angle with Damien the Snake shown again here on Challenge, in case you missed it on Superstars, getting over that huge feud upcoming between the Snake Man and the Eighth Wonder of the World. Then it's back to the ring for tag team action this time. Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, the brand new team of the Heenan family. It's the Brainbusters out here with the Brain himself, Bobby Heenan, taking on David Isley and Rusty Riddle. We even get an insert promo here from Bobby Heenan and his Brainbusters promising to survive the Survivor Series. Meanwhile, in the ring, beatdown begins on Riddle, ends with David Isley, Arn Anderson delivering that always impressive spinebuster, followed by a awesome-looking Tully Blanchard slingshot suplex, poor Isley getting both finishers, and the Brainbusters going over 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So happy they're here. Can't wait to get to some of their upcoming matches with the Rockers. And now over on Superstars, it's called the Featured Fan segment, but here on Challenge, it's got its own name, Fan of the Week. Put a lot of thought into that one. Mean Gene talking with a couple of random female fans this week on Challenge, and then back to the ring for more action. Birdman Koko B. Ware out here taking on Tom Burton. And you'll see why I said in just a moment as Burton attacks the Birdman. Koko missing a corner charge of his own early on. Burton takes right back over, stays on top of Ware, but Koko looks like he's calling for a backdrop, and Burton totally botches that spot, runs right into Koko, and as you might suspect, that just pisses the Birdman right the fuck off. Koko B. Ware gonna retaliate with some stiff shots. Clothesline to the face of Burton here, knocks him loopy. I mean, literally knocks him into next week. He can't even stand, or at least maintain balance. So Koko going right into the finish, top rope fist drop, and the Ghostbuster, which was all Koko because, again, Burton had no balance, and the Birdman going over 1 minute and 39 seconds. Poor Tom Burton made that one mistake, made Koko look bad in there, and you just can't do that. Took a nasty shot from one of the most notorious men to give those stiff shots when things did not go his way. Burton not goofy and never recovered from it. Koko had to take it home from there, and just not cool, Koko. But we've seen that a lot in Memphis 85 right now over on Regional Wrestling. And speaking of right now, we go off to the event center one more time. Sean Mooney lined up an interview with Team Jake and Hacksaw looking at the Survivor Series.
We are back at the WWF Event Center. 4 spectacular matches involving 50 superstars of the World Wrestling Federation. I'm talking about the Survivor Series. It will happen Thanksgiving night. In one matchup, Andre the Giant, he will co-captain the team along with Dino Bravo. Across the ring, Jake the Snake Roberts and his co-captain Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the rest of their team of 5. Let's hear from the whole team.
You talk about fear and respect, man. The Survival Series, we all put it on the line. When you put 10 men in a ring, you got to think about what can happen. That's a lot of beef anywhere you go. But I'll tell you something, my man. Survival is what it's about, and each one of us has something to offer. We all got a little something now, don't we? B. Brian Blair's got something.
That's right. Ever since the beginning of time, ever since Adam and Eve, the ultimate goal of mankind has been to survive. And nothing's going to change this Thanksgiving night. Is that right, Tito?
That's right, baby. There's something to be thankful for on Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful to be on this team, and I guarantee you, we will survive. Right. Yeah! The world's strongest man, Kim Patella.
I'm going to tell you, Dino Bravo, you're going to be saluting this flag after it's all over because we are the survivors. What a team, what a team, what a team. Thanksgiving Day, turkey, pumpkin pie, cranberry sauce, and a chance to beat somebody up. Hacksaw Jim Duggan's time of year. Let me tell you group of fellas something. You're not messing with a junior varsity now. You've got a team coming at you with fire in their eyes and fire in their souls, and we're not going to quit. We're not going to stop. We're gonna survive!
We know what you guys are about, Andre the Giant. We know what you are. We're not afraid of that. No, we'll step right in. We'll take our shots, but we're gonna give our shots, too. And Rick Rude, please, do you expect me to forget you? No, sir. Mr. Perfect, come on, man. Nobody's perfect, and we'll prove that point. No, won't we?
It's not gonna be a wrestling match.
All right, so part of that quintet there, part of that fivesome, Brian Blair now replacing the Junkyard Dog right there for this interview as they get ready to take on the team of Outlaw Ron Bass, Honky Tonk Man, and company. And it's also at this point, had a fun time here, had a commercial left in, thanks to whoever edited this episode of the TV, a commercial for Acclaim's brand new board game, the VCR WrestleMania game, which I picked up maybe a year or two after this at a flea market for $5. And I never played the game, didn't even try to learn it, just took the VCR tape, popped it in, and watched it a few times. Odd choice of talent involved in this commercial. On one side, you have the WWF champion Randy Savage and the lovely Miss Elizabeth. On the other side, Outlaw Ron Bass. I guess they spent all their money paying the Macho Man and Liz here, and we're left with the Outlaw. Just kidding, guys. Poor Ron Bass. But no, so the board game, the WrestleMania board game, basically you had to pop in a VHS tape, and it coincided with the game in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure somebody out there is going to send me a message and tell me how it worked. I just never bothered to look up the rules. I really didn't care. The fact that it had a videotape in it was likely the reason I got it to begin with. And honestly, it's the only tape that I'm aware of that features the matchup between Hulk Hogan and the Natural Butch Reed. And that was like basically my reason for watching, which is something different, a different match, a different challenger for Hulk Hogan at the time. But it was just nice to see this commercial. I hadn't seen it in, well, probably since it aired. As we go back to the ring, so nice, they got to do it twice. You want to have a perfect debut? You got to put it on both programs. Talking about Mr. Perfect, Curt Hennig, once again, another debut, this time on Wrestling Challenge, taking on Mike Richards. As we even get an insert promo here from Curt Hennig, informing us it's easy to be perfect when you're born that way. Gorilla's response, what a spoiled brat. Spoiled brat, says the Gorilla, as in the ring, Hennig, with another running leapfrog into a drop kick, landed perfectly, I might add. From there, it's more aggression, and boy, is it noticeable. Not as cool and calm as the future Mr. Perfect may be. Pretty violent here is Curt Hennig, and based on his size, you got to give it to him. He was like an attack dog on his initial opponents, trying to get himself over. He may not be the biggest guy in the promotion, so he's going to come in with pure aggression, and it's working here. Now, unrelated, during the matchup, on commentary, out of the blue, Gorilla Monsoon promoting the upcoming Toledo Rib Cook-Off. We have those here in my area as well, around Memorial Day every year. So Gorilla promoting the Toledo Rib Cook-Off, and Bobby Heenan suggests that Gorilla invite Koko. I wrote, geez, unbelievable, Bobby. In the ring, it is the axe delivered right between the eyes once again of Richards this time. Curt Hennig going to finish it off again with the soon-to-be-named Perfect Plex, scoring the win in 2 minutes, 43 seconds. In the replay, we get to watch that fisherman suplex a second time. Bobby Heenan putting over that beautiful bridge that only Curt Hennig could do with the maneuver, scoring the win over Mike Richards. A perfect weekend for Mr. Perfect. 2-0 here in the WWF as the character makes its official debut with the company. And right now, guys, we go off to a special interview. Mean Gene up on the platform, getting ready to talk to the Doctor of Style Slick, the Big Boss Man, and Akeem.
All right, folks, things are heating up for the big Survivor Series in suburban Cleveland on Thanksgiving, November the 24th. As you know, teams of 5 will try to survive in the Survivor Series. Special guests right now. Bring them on in. They're led up here this week by the Doctor of Style, Slick. They are Akeem and the Big Boss Man. Oh, yeah.
Thumbs down for that gentleman right there.
It's going to be the one-man Akeem, I beg your pardon. And the Big Boss Man.
Got it right, one-man game.
Let me tell you something, Gene Oakland. First of all, I'm going to make a promise and a prediction, brother. And that is that on Thanksgiving night, the promise is it's going to be a night of mayhem. Because when these two big brothers, along with their teammates, take on our opponents, I can promise you that we're going to rip havoc upon their very bodies, brother. And then when you look at it, you look at that no-good Koko B, Ware, the bird man. Well, you know the red rooster, brother, is going to dominate over you like all roosters do little jive turkeys. And I don't know how that no-good pig farmer, Hillbilly Jim, could have the audacity to step in the squared circle with His Highness, His Royal Highness, Haku. And then don't forget about you, Hercules. The $1 million man already owns you literally, and brother, he's gonna own you physically.
All right, I want to get it right from the horse's mouth. I beg your pardon. What about it, Akeem? There's new life for you in the World Wrestling Federation.
Yo, brothers and sisters! Macho Man Randy Savage! You don't know how to get down! You don't have any motion! You don't know how to move and groove! Well, I'm going to teach you all that. Thanksgiving night, Macho Man, you are going down!
All right, Big Boss Man, in all due respect, you got a little payback time coming to you from what most people tell me.
Payback time, boy! I'm the Big Boss Man! And Hogan, if you can read, boy, it's spelled out big bold letters. Big Boss Man, right there. This bag's bruising, boy. And this stick is the reason why I'm gonna hurt you, boy. Thanksgiving night, Survivor Series.
All right, thank you very much, Big Boss Man.
And for those of you out there who love that trivial knowledge, this promo actually recorded at the Superstars taping the night before Challenge, because Mean Gene Okerlund obviously wasn't factored into the Wrestling Challenge taping, so all of his special interviews for this particular weekend of tapings were done at Superstars. No idea what Mean Gene had going on October 6th that he wasn't able to make it there to Toledo. And I should point out, not yet called the Twin Towers, nor a tag team at this point. Akeem and the Big Boss Man will, however, team as part of Survivor Series, as Akeem says that Randy Savage can't groove like the African Dream. Boy, this gimmick was never remotely supposed to be taken seriously, was it? And the Big Boss Man, on the other hand, promising more pain for the Hulkster in the coming weeks. And boy, it's going to be fun times when we get there, but hard times for Hulk Hogan, hopefully. As we go back to the ring tag team action, going to see the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and the Barbarian, who were not part of the last set of TV tapings, so they've been off TV a few weeks here, and that's because the Warlord's been nursing a lower back injury, but he is back out here, and they are once again flanked by their manager, the Baron von Raschke, in their corner here, taking on Sandy Beach and Brian Costello. And we learned that the Powers of Pain on the cover of the latest edition of the WWF magazine. Noticeably absent, the Baron. That could be telling. Brian Costello going to suffer the power and the pain to begin with, getting launched across the ring repeatedly by the Barbarian. Sandy Beach tagging in and running straight into the Barbarian boot. Ugh. Can't have less luck than that. Beach then takes a gut-wrench toss from the Warlord, who finally tags in late in the matchup. Then Brian Costello, unwisely, going to take the tag and re-enter the ring, returning to the action only to take more punishment from the Powers. Warlord with a nice shoulder tackle, followed by that running power slam and the Barbarian diving headbutt, giving the Powers of Pain the win. Match goes 2 minutes and 34 seconds. And as you might suspect, light work here from the Warlord this week. Didn't do a whole lot, but he is returning from that lower back injury. Now, I want to be clear, the Barbarian did more than handle the action for his team, so no problems there. The Powers of Pain going over, as this will mark the final appearance of the Baron character, Baron von Raschke, as there are new plans in place, it would seem, for the Powers of Pain moving forward. And you can't ignore him entering the ring here with the Powers, but the camera shots did their best to keep him from appearing front and center. During the celebration, they all but tried to zoom in on the Powers of Pain to keep the Baron off screen. Bobby Heenan, longtime friend of Von Raschke going back to the AWA, the WWA days, I'd have to imagine. He tries to mention the Baron a time or two, but Gorilla simply replies, he's a mystery. A mystery indeed, because the Baron finishes up here never to be mentioned again. It was as if it never happened. And the Powers of Pain going into Survivor Series, perhaps looking for a new manager. Up next on Wrestling Challenge, here it is. Finally, the final video package of Sugar Ray Leonard and Donnie Lalonde. We hear interviews from both sides as they prepare for the big pay-per-view this Monday night, November the 7th. We talked about the results. We talked a little bit about the potential ratings and things of that nature, what the WWF may or may not have made off of this fight while promoting the pay-per-view aspect of everything. And we did all that in the last episode of The Grenade, part of the November news episode. You guys can go back and check that out if you're really interested. But lots of other great things we discussed last week as well. But honestly, guys, this is it. I do not believe we have to deal with this boxing event any longer. As we go back to the ring, it's more Dino Bravo this weekend. Frenchie Martin in his corner. Bravo's opponent on this episode of TV is one Reno Riggins. And Dino, once again, going to dominate. Nice jumping elbow drop. Busts out that double underhook suplex. Boy, must have been feeling frisky on this weekend of tapings, Dino. Followed by that epic airplane spin, leading to a side suplex. Going to get the win here for Bravo. 1 minute and 41 seconds. Just 1 second longer than his match on Superstars. Another trivial note there. As we go back to an event center at this point, Sean Mooney going to run down the rules of the Survivor Series and the latest team lineup. As once again, it is made official. Brian Blair replacing JYD. Jim Brunzell replacing The Rock, Don Morocco. And then to close out the program next week on Wrestling Challenge in the Ring, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, as well as Akeem going to be out there, going to dance his way to the ring, no doubt. And Tito Santana, Arriba, Tito, coming into singles action. From there, the Outlaw Ron Bass and the Blue Blazer. But we're not done yet, guys. Remember, November Sweeps, the feature match right here next week on Challenge. Going to put Greg the Hammer Valentine going one-on-one with the Hitman, Bret Hart.
Right here next week, Hammer. I want you to take the Hitman out, baby.
You know, Jimmy Hart, Greg the Hammer Valentine's been known to break a few hearts, and along with that, a few legs, too, if you know what I mean. I promise you, next week, right here, Jimmy Hart, and you, the Rougeau brothers, I'm going to break me a Bret Hart along with the leg.
So, Jimmy Hart, you're going to send Greg the Hammer Valentine up against the Hitman to hurt me, to cripple me. Well, let me tell you something right now. This is one heart you just cannot break. I'll be ready next week.
All right, more November Sweeps matches, but not a lot angle-wise beyond the new feud with Jake and Andre, which was the main focus all weekend outside of the actual Survivor Series pay-per-view, of course. Now, we won't likely get much by the way of angles or furthering of storylines until after the Survivor Series. Everything right now, the focus is built on the big 10-man, 20-man tags upcoming. So they give the Jake Rude match and the Andre angle more so plenty of time to get over here all weekend long on syndicated TV. As we close out Wrestling Challenge, we've got one more piece of business this week, guys, as we head off to Primetime Wrestling for November 8th, 1988. All right, Primetime Wrestling. This is a Tuesday, remember, so we are past the Sugar Ray Lalonde fight. It is in the rear view, guys. Woo! Gotta love that. This is actually a 3-hour special edition of Primetime Wrestling from, quote-unquote, Paris, France. Now, the matches are from Paris, France. Gorilla and Bobby would like you to believe they're calling them live from Paris, but in reality, they're in the studio booth back here in Connecticut, no doubt about it. So rather than hosting the show from a studio, we never actually physically see Bobby and the Gorilla this week. We just hear their commentary over this 3-hour program of plenty of matches. All the matches were actually recorded way back October 7th in Paris, France at Bercy Stadium. But before we get to the results, and we've got some big news there, a title change to announce in just a moment. Before we do all that, in the middle of everything, we go off to a Survivor Series report as Mean Gene talks about the headline match, the feature match, the main event of the Survivor Series, and we hear once again from both sides of that matchup, Team Hulk Hogan and Team Boss Man.
All right, what a Thanksgiving. It is going to be just outside of Cleveland, Ohio at the Richfield Coliseum. The World Wrestling Federation superstars are going to be out for the big Survivor Series. That's where teams of 5 strive to survive. And one of those teams will be co-captained by Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man, Randy Savage.
You know something, Macho Man Randy Savage Mega Power, brother? When the big boss man put the handcuffs on me, when the slickster maced me, they didn't get the job done because they didn't realize you and I were already as one. We both had our minds, bodies, and souls set on the Survivor Series with Koko, Hercules, and Hillbilly as our partner. I think our teams get the edge because after they beat me like a dog with a nightstick, the big boss man, I'm gonna look across the ring and every one of those dudes on that team, when I see them, they'll all look like the big boss man. All you're gonna have to do is push me in the right direction.
Beautiful, I like it, I like it. The biggest mistake ever made was by the boss man, yeah. Handcuffing this man, no man can handcuff this man right here. This is a Hulkamaniac, this is the Hulkster, this is Hulk Hogan, this is one half of the Mega Powers, this is the Survivor Series, yeah! And each and every person that's on our side, yeah, we realize how important this is. And Hillbilly Jim and Koko B, Ware, and the mighty Hercules, he's one of us, Hulk Hogan. I know him now, I've seen him now, and he's ready for the Survivor Series. I guarantee it, yeah!
Well, you know, after the seance we had, brother, when you and I, Koko, Hercules, and Hillbilly, when we all held hands on Venice Beach, when we put our toes in the Pacific Ocean, when we looked up above and said, strike us with lightning, unite us as one, we're all Hulkamaniacs, when we got hit with a thunderbolt, I knew right then, brother, that all the Hulkamaniacs on our team could wipe out the big boss man, DiBiase, the Rooster, Akeem, Haku, a bunch of bums. But you know something, Macho Man? You know something, Macho Brother? Even though we've been struck with lightning bolts, even though we're united as one, as Hulkamaniacs, we gotta watch out for the lovely Elizabeth. What would you do if one of those dudes tried to put handcuffs or hurt her?
Man, I'm talking right now, and I'm talking to you, everyone. Yeah, Boss Man Akeem, yeah, DiBiase, Red Rooster, and King Haku, yeah. I'm telling you, you're in the danger zone, past the danger zone. You guys are doing a hard time.
What are they gonna do in the Survivor Series when the Mega Powers run wild on them? Yeah!
All right, some very interesting competition when you think of the individual egos involved in this team effort. Here's the opponents for Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage. It's going to be co-captains, the Boss Man, the Big Boss Man, I beg your pardon, and Akeem.
You know, you talk about the word Survivor. You talk about the Survivor Series. Everybody knows the Big Boss Man here from the penitentiary can survive. You know, Akeem can survive. You know, the King has survived. With this man's money, he can survive anything. With the Rooster and myself, we can survive anything. But how can those other humanoids survive? Hogan, you are a habitual loser and you know it. And you're surrounded with people who can't survive. Right, Big Boss Man?
Hulk Hogan, Survivor Series 88. DiBiase has supplied me with handcuffs for everyone. But I brought an extra set, a little bigger, a little stronger, to finish the job I started with you. I know I can count on my team. Do you know you can count on yours? Were them goofy pukes there to save you when I was beating you like a yard dog with my stick? Were they there? Can you count on them on Survivor Series? You tell them, DiBiase.
Survivor Series, the name speaks for itself. That's right. And it's not survival of the fittest, it's survival of the richest. And I've got my team so jacked up. Why are they jacked up? They're jacked up because I filled their pockets. I've given them a reason to go out and do what they need to do. You know, there's two kinds of wrestlers in the World Wrestling Federation. There's the kind that go to the front office and they beg and plead for favoritism, want patting on the back. They want all you people out there to cheer them on to glory. That's all they care about. And then there's our kind of people, the people that are here for what it's all about, money, and they'll do anything and everything they can to get it. And I've already lined their pockets and patted their pockets. And while all you nickel and dime crumb-eating peons are out there giving thanks for the meager things you have, my team is going to be out celebrating a great victory and eating at the best of everything. And you, Hogan, Savage, Koko, Birdman, and Hillbilly, and especially you, Hercules, Hogan, my slave. Feel the pain, Hogan, feel the pain. Survive! He's going to survive! Just survive!
Sorry I did that to Randy Savage. I called it Team Hulk Hogan by habit there. Team Mega Powers is what I should have said. and boss man Akeem Ted DiBiase, they can figure it out on the other side who's really leading that team. But here we go, guys. Exclusive matches aired here only on Primetime Wrestling from Paris, France. Remember, this was taped back just over a month ago, October 7th. Some of the action, going to see Greg Valentine pin The Rock Don Morocco, cracking him in the head with the Heartbreaker, that shin guard, knocking Morocco out, scoring the victory in about 12 minutes time there. And then the following matchup, going to see Andre the Giant pin the Junkyard Dog running into a big boot from Andre in the corner. Andre going to make the cover and put his feet on the ropes for added leverage. A Giant using the ropes for leverage. Now that's heat. So Andre pinning the Dog, Valentine pinning Morocco. Ironically, or maybe not so ironic, they finished up after this European tour. Both men were fired, and this episode of Primetime will mark the last appearance from either man here on WWF TV programming, basically writing both guys out. They both do a job, so it makes complete sense to air it here. Also on the card, Leaping Lanny Poffo over Barry Horowitz. Tag team champions Demolition defeating the British Bulldogs. Say it with me, guys. Smash Pin Dynamite. Wow, match went 23 minutes, by the way. Ooh. Smash Pin Dynamite after Axe hit a clothesline from behind, while Dynamite had Smash in what move? The abdominal stretch, or likely the octopus. I'd have to go back and watch, but we've been doing that finish to death, guys, for months on end between Demos and Bulldogs. Come up with something new. Luckily, this feud, these matches that we've been watching for months are about to end as the Bulldogs are finishing up at the Survivor Series, unfortunately. Demolition stealing another one, retaining their titles. Again, 23 minutes, 21 seconds. My God. And as promised, title change right here in Paris, France, as Rockin' Robin crowned the brand new WWF Women's Champion, defeating the sensational Sherry. Robin dethroning Sherry right there in Paris with a Bulldog off the ropes. Robin going over, scoring the win, winning the Women's Championship. Big things going on for that family right now. Jake Roberts getting a feud with Andre. Rockin' Robin, the new Women's Champion. And Sam Houston, well, he gets to be on a pay-per-view. He's got that much going for him. And the final match of the night here on Prime Time, again from Paris, the WWF Champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, with the lovely Miss Elizabeth taking on Akeem. However, the gimmick change must not have been announced in advance to those procuring entrance signs. And what I mean is, you see the fans out there with the giant poster boards? Well, there was a guy or a lady, I can't remember which, walking to ringside with the talent with their name written on a card, basically a giant poster board is what it looked like. And when Akeem came out, yes, he did the dancing. Yes, we got the full-fledged African Dream character. However, the sign read One Man Gang. And it was just silly to look at. But it was Randy Savage scoring a win over Akeem, the brand new character, by disqualification. Match goes a little over 10 minutes. Akeem getting a little overzealous in his offense, a little frustrated with the WWF champion. And it winds up seeing the African Dream tossing referee Tim White aside and getting disqualified in the process. Savage retaining there to close out Primetime Wrestling and to close out this week's Grenade program. Wow, so a little light on the storyboard here this week. Of course, Andre and Jake, the big thing right now, and Survivor Series upcoming here in just about 2.5 weeks' time. We heard a lot from some of the teams this week. We saw the end of the Baron as the Powers of Pain team will evolve in the upcoming weeks, no doubt about that. The debut here on syndicated television of one Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig, and what a way to debut perfectly on both Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. I think we can finally say goodbye to the Sugar Ray Lalonde hype. Thank God. A double dose of Dino Bravo. I don't know that we needed that, but at least he kept it short. And we got to see the odd visual of Bad News Brown hanging out with 4 white boys. Just an odd spectacle in general to see Bad News hanging out with any 4 men in general. The loner Bad News Brown, gonna wait to see how that plays out at the Survivor Series. Can they coexist? Who knows? But lots going on, guys, and lots more to come after the pay-per-view. Right now, it's just a big build to the pay-per-view. Can't wait till we get to it. More to come next week. Got feature matches now. The Rockers and Rougeaus, the Hammer and the Hitman, and more to come in the weeks here as the November sweeps continues on. And right now, we finish up, but we shall return with more November TV goodness next time right here on The Grenade. And until then, just a quick reminder, stop over to WrestleCopia.com. Check out all of the great podcasts here at the WrestleCopia brand. regional wrestling, the Wrestling Stoop with Bob Roop, the Retro Wrestling Review with Gene Jackson, Wrestling Nostalgia, Dave Dynasty, of course, the crew at the other ship, Outdated Wrestling Hour with Bob Smith, and the list goes on, guys. Check it out, WrestleCopia.com, and you can listen to them at all of your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Be sure to follow us on social media over on X at Wrestling Grenade and Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. Over 30,000 followers on Facebook. Would love to have you as one of them. Subscribe to YouTube.com. Not only great videos getting uploaded from time to time, but also you can listen to the podcasts. Many of the podcasts drop over there at YouTube as well. And last but certainly not least, talking about patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia. You've got the $5 all access tier giving you so many gifts. The VIP super fan tier for just a few bucks more, giving you a plethora of choices at the videocast genre, from the Pro Wrestling Academy with Dan Gennity videocast to the Coliseum videocast to the Monday Warfare videocast. Now up and running. Go check out the first episode of Monday Warfare, The Battles Within, Raw vs. Nitro, the videocast with special guest co-host John Paz of the two-man Power Trip Empire. Paz joined us once again, talking all things Monday Night War, the inception of Nitro, the debut episode of Nitro, the unabashed arrogance of one Lex Luger making that jump, and so much more. Check it out right now, guys. But for the moment, we're going to wrap things up here on The Grenade. Be back soon with another edition, no doubt. And until then, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast. You pull the pin, and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. I'll see you next week. Don't miss it. Be there!
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. Rockers, next week, you're going to become the next victims of the fabulous Rougeau brothers. And you're going to be singing a new tune. Another one bites the dust. I love it.